Brendan, how would L. Bell impact Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense?
Oh, my goodness. Jenna, I've been trying to keep this conversation balanced since week one on the show. We all know Nick Wright's bias when it comes to his team. And I've been trying to just humble them and just keep them down. But if they get Le'Veon Bell, this is a problem. And I can no longer argue against Nick Wright. Forget Le'Veon, the running back. Let's think about Le'Veon, the receiver. Go back to when he was in Pittsburgh. Remember how we used to talk about, man, this guy can do everything. You line him up at X receiver, split him out. He's running a slant. He's running a 9-yard stop. He's running goes. He's adjusting on a back shoulder like he's DK Metcalf. 600 yards, 850 yards. His rookie year, 400 yards receiving. This guy is dangerous. And if he gets in that system with Andy Reid and Mahomes, I can't imagine how they'll use him. This is dangerous. Nick, I hope he don't go there because I want to continue to argue with you when it comes to the Chiefs.
Okay. So oddly enough, I also hope he doesn't go there. And that's not a knock on Le'Veon. So let me explain. Let me explain this. First of all, they just spent a first-round pick on a luxury item. They could have drafted a corner. They could have drafted a linebacker, which they ended up doing the second round. They could have drafted an offensive lineman, which we're seeing now they needed. They spent money on Kelechi Osemele, but he blew out both of his knees, unfortunately, this past Sunday. Instead, they went with the shiny toy of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And it seems fun and it seems awesome. But if you're going to do that and then all of a sudden knock him down the depth chart, I don't think that is the best way to get the most out of him long term. That's first of all. And second of all, and this is something where I think Brandon's head's going to explode when I say this, and you know, old school football folks are going to hate this take. But I've watched every snap the Chiefs have played for, well, I don't know, 25 years. But most notably the last few Patrick Mahomes years. You know what? If there is something wrong with the Chiefs this year, you know what I think it is? They're running the ball a little too much. They are trusting their running game a little too much. That they are first and 10. Really? They're like, oh, let's hand it off. Let's get him go. Yeah. They are, that because they have what they think could be a really good running back, they are handing the ball off to him instead of letting Patrick Mahomes do Patrick Mahomes things. And if you bring in Le'Veon Bell, he's not just a slot receiver. I know in theory, I know you're going to hate this take, and you're going to...
Your guys haven't had a running game since Priest Holmes. Well, no, you had
I don't really want a running game.
No, you guys had some good
Larry
years.
Johnson,
you don't
too.
want a running.
I know Larry Johnson, Priest Holmes. I don't want a running game. I really don't. I'm not interested in it. It's wasted downs, and I feel like I really don't want a running game. I understand it's controversial, and people are going to say I'm wrong, but I don't want them to have, like, right now. Let me tell you this. So the only reason I'm even somewhat open to it, Wilds, again, you guys can say I'm wrong. Le'Veon as a receiver is intriguing to me. If Derrick Henry were released right now, I would not want the Chiefs to pick him up. I'm not interested in them running the ball between the tackles.
So dynamic.
You're leaving? Wilds, you're leaving?
You guys may have to.
That's a terrible take. Well, you're hurting the intensity of you're hurting the integrity of the show. That's an outrage. If Derrick Henry was released, you wouldn't want Derrick Henry. Stiff arming guys into oblivion. No. You don't want Derrick Henry.
Yeah. I don't. I
know I talked about Le'Veon as a wide receiver, but you guys may need him as a running back because you guys are struggling to protect your guy when he drops back. They're number 2 in the league in giving up pressure on the quarterback. Number 2. So if you want this guy to last and be healthy at the end of the year, the best player in the NFL, then you need to continue to lean on that run game. Now, you lost Osemele. You lost him. You just talked about that. That's a big blow for you guys. He just got back to where he was in Baltimore. In Baltimore, he was one of the most premier guards in the game. And then he had a rough year. Now he got back, and then he had this terrible injury, injuries to both knees. So it's hurting you guys. But I'd rather lean on the running game just a little bit more so I can protect my quarterback who's worth $500 million.
Go ahead, Watts.
So
No.
Here. No, I'm thinking about it.
You
if I
said
want him
no?
on the Patriots.
Jenna, you said
Because
no.
I'm torn. No, because I'm torn. Because here's why. If I'm Le'Veon Bell and I'm about to go, I'm released. I can choose where I want to go. Right? I'm not being traded. I can pick. And you know, my Jets are paying $6 million, and I'm going to be on the minimum or whatever. I kind of look long term. But I need to cook, right? That's one reason Cam went to the Patriots and he specifically said, I don't want to be a backup. It's like, all right, if you come to the Patriots, Cam, we'll start you. You can cook. We're going to throw the ball around. If I'm Le'Veon Bell and I was with the Jets and I never broke a 20-yard run over 260-something carries and I never had a 100-yard game, I'm like, I want to go somewhere to cook. So I don't know. This is a crazy idea. Like, do I just, like, wait back and be like, I don't even care. That sounds dumb, though. But, like, I care more about production long-term than I do about, like, getting into a winning environment where I'm getting 10 carries a game. Does that make sense,
that doesn't sound dumb.
That's a good take.
That makes a ton of sense.
Okay,
No,
that
doesn't sound dumb at all.
Yeah, because as a player, because you got to think about from a business perspective as a player, if he doesn't have another productive year, his career is over. No one's going to give him a minimum wage, right? Like, no one's going to pay this guy. So it does make a lot of sense, Wiles, for him to go somewhere where he can cook and he can produce, because this guy just had 2 bad years, and I wouldn't say it's not all his fault. It was a terrible fit from the beginning. They was doomed from the beginning. So that's a good take.
Yeah, well, and Wiles, to that point, if you got LeSean McCoy on Truth Serum, I wonder what he'd say about his time with the Chiefs last year. He got released, he's going to go to Kansas City, and he did win a ring, but he didn't play much. He was a healthy scratch throughout the playoff run, and now he's the 3rd or 4th back for Tampa, and his career's probably coming to a close, which is why, for L. Bell, I do think your Patriots might be the best spot because you have at least the chance of winning. Plus, he would be used a lot.
No,
but I think this is one that Vegas has right. But real quick, I think Vegas says Chicago. And I do think he would get that workload you're talking about, Wilds, in Chicago. And they are 4-1. Like, it's not like that's a terrible team, Jenna. So I do think Chicago maybe kind of threads the needle there.
But there's also this thought that after sitting a year out, basically, he did try to go somewhere to cook, right? Like, he went to the Jets, where they had an unproven yet quarterback, and he was supposed to have the resurgence of his career when he couldn't, you know, when he wanted to prove to people why he was holding out in Pittsburgh. So he went to a team where he could cook. Right, it happened to be the wrong system, but you're saying he should do it again. I don't think it's such a terrible idea, although that's exactly what it seems like he just came from.
Well, you got to look at Adam Gase. Adam Gase never wanted him from the beginning. That was the GM McCagnon's pick. He forced that on Adam. Adam came from Denver. He wanted to recreate what they did in Denver with Peyton Manning. What they did there, they leaned on 2 to 3 running backs. That's how Adam's system is built. Le'Veon is a guy that he needs to be in there on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down. He's more than capable of being out there all 3 downs, and that is the issue. So going to Chicago, Nagy does a great job of using his running backs out in space, but he hasn't been able to establish the run the past 2 years. So this could be a great fit for both sides. You can have him cooking. The running game finally get going in Chicago. Le'Veon extends his career. Chicago is a good fit.
And Jenna, as far as him going to the Jets to cook, as we have seen over the last decade, if you let Adam Gase in your kitchen without Peyton Manning as the executive chef, the thing's going to burn down and nobody's going to cook. There's going to be a grease fire here. There's going to be a...
You know that's my ex-wide receiver coach. Stop it.
You know,
Adam Gase?
Can I real quick, before we go to... Listen,
hey, I don't know when it was, but I assume it was your worst years. Whatever years Brandon's stats dipped, I'm guessing that was it.
Goodness.
I had 100 catches.
Right, I'll tell my story another time. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.